fabled song, but you need a place to stay waiting under the beauty in the moonlight of a Julia. Tie you to a kitchen chair, she broke the throne, she cut your hair, and from your lips she drew the hallelujah.
The golden smile of light. The life of a pure and humble person is a holy and wondrous mystery, emanating unseen powers and wielding profound influence long after they have died. It is in the life of the Poverello of Assisi that we can see this more clearly than in the lives of most other heroes and great minds of ancient times. Even by looking superficially, one can easily perceive that for many centuries throughout Italy, no one has ever received such extravagant love and recognition as the humble and lowly Francis. Above all, he was celebrated by the artists for whom he was a source of liberation and awakening. Just as a weak child grows in courage and strength by the guidance of a wise and loving man, so too did artists respond to the loving call of the teacher of Assisi. Their craft, which had previously suffered from a period of neglect, now enjoyed a springtime of blossoming and new growth. In particular, the world-renowned Giotto, the first great master painter of modern times, was driven by his gratitude and robust love for Francis into seeing the divine radiance within all things and conveying that spark in his stunning masterpieces, which I just got to experience, as I also visited the remains of Francis. I would have remained silent. This is what Hermann Hesse says. I would have remained silent and withheld all my words of the blessed saint of Assisi if it had been possible for me to take you to that beautiful basilica in Assisi where Giotto's paintings of the life of Francis decorate the walls. These images not only illustrate the deeds and events of his life, but they also serve as an enthusiastic hymn of praise, born from the same spirit of the blessed saint. Giotto's bold and fervent art is, in essence, nothing less than a powerful echo of the voice of that great singer and preacher. A vigorous and vital spirit is always yearning to express itself in new ways. For example, the spirit of Christ has expressed itself throughout history in a myriad of forms, depending on the character and context of the times. Did Christ not speak through poets and prophets and musicians in times when teachers and preachers had become especially dull and ineffective? And in times when the church had fallen into deep sin and decay, Christ continued to speak with new power through the works of painters, architects, and stonemasons. So also the tender and blessed message of God, which came to earth in the figure of Francis, did not perish with his death. He had scattered good seed across the earth from his generous hand. The seed sprouted, grew, and blossomed, here in the soul of a painter, there in the soul of a poet or sculptor or storyteller. Even if no report of his earthly life and no record of his songs had come down to us, we would still have in their place the inspiring testimonies of those countless people in whom his character and manner awakened love and longing, and the stories of those who portrayed him in words and music, in marble and bronze, and in a kaleidoscope of enchanting colors. There is perhaps no human figure in art history who has inspired more masterpieces. Even long after his death, his gentle and profound influence made him dearly beloved and favored by all artists. To them, his life seems so full of poetry and so worthy of being portrayed and forever remembered that hundreds of painters and sculptors have depicted him as well as scenes from his life. Storytellers also revered him and crowned him with a florilegium of legends so that his legacy and legendary status surpassed that of Charlemagne. Moreover, many poets have been inspired by his passion and spirit. These followers and admirers of Francis mostly wrote in the vernacular, long before Dante, and must therefore be regarded as the forerunners and founders of Italian poetry and verse. Even among Francis's earliest students and friends, we find several poets who composed songs and hymns, partly in Latin and partly in Italian. Francis's disciple, Thomas of Celano, has traditionally been considered the author of the powerful and haunting song Dies Irae, Dies Illa. Brother Giacomo of Verona wrote an excellent and vivid poem about heaven and hell, which is only surpassed by Dante. However, the greatest and most influential successor of Francis was Jacopone Benedetti, named Jacopone of Todi after his hometown, whose bitter life of suffering compelled him to write the most painfully beautiful songs that not only burn with raw passion, but also kindle hope for all those who struggle in darkness. One could easily demonstrate the overwhelming influence of Francis in spirituality and the arts. When the legacy of a great soul is embraced and enriched by a people's creative devotion, it revitalizes the arts with new energy and lifeblood. This is the mysterious and mystical element of his soul. The mere thought of him awakens wonder and stirs up holy passion. He inspires painters to paint and poets to sing and opens everyone's eyes to see him as a vivid expression of God's kingdom here on earth. If someone were to ask me, how can you call Francis an exceptional poet when he left us nothing but the Canticle of the Sun? I would answer, he gave us the immortal masterpieces of Giotto. Countless colorful legends, the songs of Jacopone, and 1,000 other treasures, all forged by the fire of his soul. Indeed, he was one of the first great enigmatic figures who unknowingly built the Renaissance, that remarkable rebirth of spirit and art. Oh, there are so many famous writers and poets who have crafted such pretty verses, but there are only a few who, by the passion and depth of their interior lives, have permanently stamped their eternal words and wisdom into our culture like divine messengers. While many have been admired for their words, only a select few have been adored for the exquisite poetry expressed through the purity of their very being, which shimmers with such radiance like the blessed stars. Like brother sun, guiding all of us as we wander through the darkness, nudging us all a little closer to the golden smile of light. And that's how Hesse concludes his biography of St. Francis.